Carlos, we're ready to go. Quick question before we begin. Are you able to preside remotely, or would you like someone to chair until you get here?
I'd prefer somebody chair until I get there.
Okay. But we're ready to get rolling if you want to call the meeting to order.
Call the meeting to order at 9:07 a.m. Nikki, can you take roll call?
Actually, Vern is here for invocation.
Miigwech. Before roll call, can we turn it over to Vern?
Okay, I'll do roll call, Carlos. Carlos Hernandez,
Here.
Tara Gishik,
Here.
Shane Drift,
Oma, here.
Janelle Gogolai. Here. Robert Moyer.
Before we begin the agenda or move on in the agenda, we are going to ask Jeff Holth to give a brief explanation of the next action we are taking.
Morning, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Yeah, so in terms of presiding over the meeting, I mean, typically, obviously, that would be the chairperson per the bylaws. In the absence of the chairperson, you have a vice chairperson, which would be Robert. Robert's not available for this meeting. If there's going to be another individual that'll preside, because the bylaws don't specifically call for an additional succession, what I would recommend is the council taking some formal vote right now to designate a chairperson just for purposes of this meeting until Carlos is available. Just so there's some formal action designating the chair. That person can then preside over the meeting as the designated chair until Carlos arrives and is available. And my recommendation, if the council does that, that person then act as chair, meaning they wouldn't vote, they would preside. you'd have 2 voting members and we would still have a quorum to be able to proceed with action and agenda items. So if Carlos isn't able to preside now and because of Robert's absence, that's how I would recommend moving forward.
Thank you, Jeff.
I move to have Shane Drift chair the meeting today until Carlos is available.
One second.
All in favor, say aye.
Okay.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Turn it over to you, Shane.
I'm trying to think of how this goes. Been a while. Good morning. Next up, we have the approval of the agenda. Do we have any additions, deletions?
We would like to move Mark Somala to the first presenter.
Move Mark Somala where?
To the first presenter, so right after the consent agenda.
Any other additions or adjustments, deletions? No?
No.
If not, ask for a motion to approve the agenda with that adjustment.
I'll move.
Moved by Janelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next is the approval of the meeting minutes. Want to take a couple of minutes to look them over. Or any questions? Any questions or comments on the meeting minutes? No, if not, I ask for a motion to approve the meeting minutes of April 15th, 2026.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Has there a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next is the introduction of new employees.
Good morning, council, and those of you online. I would like to take the first opportunity to introduce Janelle Rost. She is our new Health and Human Services Director. Janelle comes to us with a ton of experience in the healthcare field. She is hitting the ground running. She is meeting employees, finding out about services, and learning, lots of learning. So welcome, Janelle. And next we will have Janelle introducing.
Good morning. I would like to introduce Laura Manai. I am sorry. She is a new employee. She's over, or newer. She started in February. Come on up here. She works over in Human Services. Hello. Go on and meet.
Next we'll have Chris Holm with Brady Bodo.
Come on up.
Morning, everyone. Happy to be here to introduce Brady Bodo to you. You know Brady as a forestry tech. Brady recently moved into the position of fire fuels hazards coordinator, prevention coordinator. Important position in light of changing times and changing forest conditions, and we're glad to have him there.
Good morning. Warren Dillburn. I'm stepping in for Von de Kar. I'd like to introduce Samantha DeVeet. She's the new Education and Disability Manager.
And that's it for our new employees for today. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have the, oh, you got a question?
Oh, sorry, we have Jessie Lambert online. She will be introducing a new employee.
Hello, I have Shaylin Poliska as our new Youth Development Coordinator over here in Vermillion as a term position.
Hello.
Welcome, Shaylin.
Thank
Hi,
you.
welcome aboard.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
You chatted for new employees. All righty, moving along, we got the consent agenda. Miranda, if you can read them off, thank you.
Yep, under the consent agenda, these were all approved as with a vote of 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 silent. Letter A, appointments to the General Election Board. Letter B, authorization for chair to sign letter for BIA end of year funds. Letter C, certificate of substantial completion, the Nett Lake Food Shelf. Purchase of CD for 2016, 2018 CSC Settlement Funds. Letter E, donation request from Powwow Committee for Wild Rice. Letter F, press release regarding the Boundary Waters Canoe Area. And letter G, resolution number 79-2026, authorizing chair to execute documents in Band's purchase of parcel at junction of Palmquist and Nett Lake Roads. And again, all of those polls were approved with a vote of 4 in favor, 0 against, 0 silent.
Okay, before we move on for approval here, I would like to ask Kim to just give a brief explanation of the purchase of the CDs for the 2016, 2018 CSC Settlement Funds.
Okay, which part would you like to me to explain? What it is or what?
The money that, where we're getting the money from, how much it is, and what the CDs are going to do.
Okay, we filed claims against IHS for not paying contract support costs on third-party revenue expenditures. And we started working on that about 5 years ago, and we got a settlement for 2016, 17, and 18. Our settlement was $1.2 million plus interest of almost $400,000. And that money is unrestricted. We took that money, put it in a CD to earn, and then the council at a future date can use that for what it wishes, or, you know, and we've talked about using it for collateral to finance the possibly, there isn't a final decision on it, the Ishkade project for the grow facility. And, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there and that, but right now we're earning 3.5% on it. And, we have claims to settle for 19 through 25 yet. And then in 26, there's a new process with IHS you negotiated in your annual funding agreement.
Thank you, Kim. And then also on letter F, the press release regarding the Boundary Waters canoe area is that I think that we as a tribal council need to get clarification, idea, thoughts from the governor and also the state on what their plans are regarding the Boundary Waters canoe area mining project that's been in the news and the social media lately, and what their plans to do to address it and hopefully stop it. I think that we should pursue that as a tribal council. Any questions on the consent agenda?
I don't have any questions on it, but I have a comment that I'd like to make. And the comment that I want to make is that, and this is just my own opinion, but I feel that some of the items that come through for consent, for a poll, could wait until the next scheduled RTC meeting. I looked at, when the information comes in, I look at all of it, and sometimes the dates that are on there line up with when a regular scheduled RTC meeting will be held. And sometimes I feel that some people just would rather do the poll so that they don't have to present at the meeting. But I think when people present at the RTC meeting that are, our regular scheduled meeting, there's more information that goes out, more explanation, information that the band members don't really get to see when it's on a poll vote. So that's the comment that I would like to make. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. Any other comments or questions on consent agenda? If not, ask for a motion to approve.
I'll move.
Moved by Janelle. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion
Aye.
carried.
I have a quick comment.
Yes.
On your comment, Janelle, can you write down that we'll discuss that in a Monday morning meeting and the justification? Because the process is that the chair goes ahead and approves things, so, or poll. And that comes to us. So we need to discuss that a little further on how that happens. And a little more justification.
Sounds
Thank you.
good too, because there's some stuff that I wouldn't even push through, I wouldn't even allow it to go through, but I just approve them, and then it surprises me sometimes when they get approved, so. Maybe a way for me to comment on them also before I send them out.
Which, next up we have Mark Samla.
Are you there, Mark?
Okay, can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. So we were given the mandate from, I think it's the tribal council, to come up with a travel card policy. So we asked what if we could have a copy of some of the previous types. And basically the travel card policy is to be used for places that we can't necessarily get POs for, like to Walmart or to Target or some of those, when we're looking for parent committee event purchases, such as graduation, such as well, just other events that we put on where we can't necessarily use a purchase order. So the policy that you have before you is the one that matches pretty much what was before. Probably the only changes that most of them have is that we have a spending limit of $1,000 per purchase. Sometimes we, like if we go to Walmart or somewhere like that, we might buy 3 or 4 bikes for graduating kids. And we want to make sure that we have enough money to do that. So I don't know if you have questions on it. I'm sure you've all looked it over. The idea is that every time the card goes out, there's a policy statement that they get and they have to sign it. And that remains with the treasurer from the both sides. So that there's accountability as far as the person using the card knows that they have to return it, and that if they don't, we know who has it. So I think that's kind of a good overview of what we're looking at. So any questions on that?
My questions are.
It's gone through the attorney too. So he's looked it over. Go ahead, Shane.
Are you done, Mark?
Yeah.
My question right off the bat are any concerns from accounting and Kim?
Your question is what? Say it again. I'm going to turn it up a little here.
If Jeff has reviewed with it, I'm fine with it. I have not seen it. Have you ladies not seen it? Nobody in accounting had seen
Okay.
it.
Yeah, well, we sent
But,
it,
but
go ahead.
if Jeff has reviewed it, Jeff and I and the ladies have worked on enough of them to do it. So Jeff would have made sure everything's in there. And so these are reloadable cards. So there's only a small limit on them. So there isn't a lot of exposure. And they have
Right.
to turn their receipts in to get it refilled.
Yeah, and then and how we get it refilled is we have to write out a PO to be able to put the money onto the card, and then we have to get a check and then take the check to the bank next door. So
Jeff, do you have any concerns with it?
No, I don't have any concerns. And if you want to, you could also approve subject to, review by accounting as well as a back end approval, so that Kim takes a look at it to make sure there's any accounting procedures that are incorporated, but I don't have any concerns.
Okay, so no concerns from Jeff, no concerns from Kim. How about Miranda, executive?
My concern is that accounting did not review this.
Any questions from council?
Is this a justification for poll? It says you need to purchase tassels for graduation.
yeah, we were going to use the card, and there's a number of things that we're going to use it for, but we sent this in over a month ago, but it's taken a while, and so we were able to get a purchase order for the tassels and everything. So I don't know that we're going to be able to, especially if it goes back to be reviewing again, I don't know that we're going to be able to use it in time for graduation. The next event would probably be next year that we would use it. We do have about $55 on it that we can spend on small items for graduation. That's already on there, but we have not used it because it has not been approved.
Wait, what?
Say that, what was the question?
You used it? You already
No, we
have a
have
card?
not used it. We have not used it since we've done the policy because
Oh,
it
to
has
reload.
the policy has not been approved, so we haven't used it. We've probably had it for probably 5, 6 years that we've been using it, but we've never had to have a policy for it before. So my thing would be that the sooner it gets approved, the better it is for us. There still might be some things we need to purchase.
Kim, I think this is what I think should happen is there was no policy before. That's embarrassing. It's only 1,000 for reload. Do you have a problem with initially doing a 1,000 reload? But I'd like to look at past purchases and making sure that those are, you know, accountable. And
Actually,
hold on,
the reload.
hold on a minute.
Okay, go ahead.
So I'd like that to happen, just so I'm rest assured that this is, you know, on the up and up. I'm not saying anybody's doing anything. I just want to make sure. And then we can go ahead and, because I want to make sure that this policy aligns with our policy completely, so we can, you know, track everything and make sure that we're not chasing anybody down, because it's a multiple use, you know, card where there's several accesses to the card. And that makes me a little bit nervous, but if it's been working for them, great, then we continue. So I'm okay, if you're okay with the 1,000 reloading. And then we watch that. And then to make sure that the policy aligns with our policy.
I'm thinking it aligns with our policy because Jeff, because we didn't start doing policies for the reloadable cards till probably end of 2022, 23. And there was a lot bought during COVID prior to that. And then we came up with these policies, and Jeff had, you know, we had worked through a lot of the stuff. So if Jeff, I'm relying on Jeff that he had all the.
Well, that's what I mean, was
Yeah.
we need to make sure, let's
Uh-huh.
not just rely only on Jeff. Let's have you take a look at it to make sure that it's aligning
Yeah.
with,
I will have to have staff look at it.
that's right.
Okay. All right.
Well, who would be the manager then for the Head Start program?
Rhiannon Strong.
Yeah.
No, the program manager for accounting.
Oh, trying to think, is it, I think it's Beth.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim.
It all rolls in together. Beth is probably the program accountant also, so, yeah.
Yeah, she is.
Mark, can you
So
tell
there-
us, can you tell
there's
us who
no-
your Head Start parent committee is? Who sits on the
Um,
committee?
Well, both sites have different people on them, but any member of the program can be on the committee. So we have about 5 on this side that have been attending regularly, but there we have, you know, it's in and out. But our treasurer is Bridget. And I was just talking to Amber the other day. I don't know. I don't remember who her treasurer is over there. I did want to make a statement that the spending limit on a one-time spending limit is $1,000. We don't have anything in the policy that says what the reload is, because there's oftentimes that we may spend $1,500 to $2,000 at graduation. So, but any one particular purchase, it says the travel card is subject to a maximum spending limit of $1,000 per transaction unless otherwise approved in writing by the Head Start Parent Committee Treasurer. So, I just want to clarify that there's nothing in this that says that there's a limit on the reload fee.
So what does council want to do?
And do you guys all have a copy of this?
Yes, they do, Mark.
Okay.
Any thoughts, Miranda?
The one concern, I already stated my concern about accounting not looking at this. The other concern I have with this is there is no maximum reload amount. And I'm not saying this would happen, but there could be an opportunity for our procurement process to be, how do I say that? Not followed.
One thing then I would suggest is putting a maximum reload limit of well under the purchase, the micro purchase limit. So like say $3,000 maximum reload.
That would be within generally what we, spend in a year's time probably. So, that I'm certainly in favor of that. I don't have any problem with it.
Is there a time constraint on this?
No, we can, well, there's a charge if we don't use the card within a year, there's a charge that's put on it, but it's not significant. So no, and generally when we reload, we'll probably try to do it more at the beginning of the year so that it can cover more than one event.
I wouldn't try, and my recommendation is I wouldn't try to load it for the whole year. I would have it like, an event's coming up and have it loaded up, like quarterly.
Well,
or
and that's
something.
kind of how we do it. I'm not saying that we do that all the time, but if we know that there's more than one event that are coming close together, then we try to calculate what that might be. And of course, when we use this card, it can only be used for event type things. We can't, it's got to be specific to that. So a lot of times we can get purchase orders ahead of time. And if it's a purchase order, we do the purchase order. But if it's a place that we can't get purchase order, that's where we use this card.
So Mark, would you be okay if we table it until we get everything streamlined? And then if we could approve it at the Monday morning meeting or something?
Yeah, I'm fine with that now because I don't see, I mean, if we don't get the few things that we might need to get for graduation, we can go, it's not an issue. Sometimes we have to go buy balloons or some extra stuff at a place where we don't already have a PO. But, we can deal with it. No problem. We've got POs for everything for all the major gifts right now that are out.
Kim, if they
So-
did need to make a purchase, they would be able to use the employee reimbursement policy, correct?
Correct.
And so hopefully whatever they would need to purchase would be smaller amounts.
Yeah. And and some of them may not be employee reimbursement, but that's what we follow that policy. Because they're not employee, some Head Start parents aren't employees.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And Head Start we are mandated by Head Start that we're not supposed to handle the money. So the parent committee has to be a non-Head Start employee. It can be an RTC employee, but it cannot be a Head Start employee. That's why we had to change our treasurers this year.
What does council want to do?
I'll make a motion to table this.
We have a motion by Janelle to table. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Tara. All in favor, say aye. Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. This is tabled. Miranda, if you could add this on to the Monday morning meeting agenda?
Yes.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you, Mark.
Wednesday. It's Wednesday.
Okay, I have just one last question. If you guys decide to add something to that, then do I need to rewrite the policy if you give me instructions to add something?
Yes, you would need to revise it, and that's what, we've got at least 3 things on here that we need to find out. Revise it and then run it through legal again. But in the
Okay.
meantime, Mark, work with our accounting office on how best to get your items paid for. And I'll be willing to help you with that.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Yeah, so I just wanted to know if that was gonna be something we'd have to redo, so. And then you would give us
I did have a question, Mark.
Go ahead.
You had mentioned an item about purchasing with this card. Yeah, the tassels for this year.
Yeah, that was some of the things that we wanted to use it for, but we were able to get a purchase order. It was done, I think yesterday. We're hoping they come in time, but,
Oh, okay.
so we did do, I think we did that yesterday for getting the tassels, the graduation hats and sashes and that kind of thing.
All right.
And thank you for working with me online here because I'm cooking today and it was really kind of a situation I couldn't get to you. I would have come in person otherwise.
We'll get it straightened out, Mark, and we just need to get that policy revised so it's nice and clear for everyone. Big witch.
Okay.
Any further discussions on the topic? If not, we'll move on to Pam Parson's compliance update.
Okay, thank you.
Hey, phone's ringing, but we're gonna go ahead and get moving. Good morning, you guys. So I'm gonna go ahead and
Morning.
just give my compliance update for you guys. So one of the things that we're working on is my greatest concern, of course, is always gonna be cybersecurity because it really is a big concern and they're getting smarter and smarter on how they're trying to fool us. So really education and awareness of our employees on suspicious emails. Really proud of our IT department because the awareness training they're doing it on a monthly basis. And that seems to be really good. Lots of good reminders in that monthly training. So they're training employees to be suspicious of any emails they do not know the sender. They're taught to examine the emails for misspellings, any oddities, and then reporting the emails by clicking the phishing button so the IT department can check it out. So that works out really good. Some of the 3 issues that I'm working on currently is the security risk assessment work plan. I'm almost done for it for 2026. And that's where I use the 2025 security risk assessment and put areas for improvement and things that I can do, action I can take to improve it. So next year it's not an issue. HIPAA in-person training. We started that with the compliance committee. We will be doing our first HIPAA in-person training on May 18th, 12:30 to 4:30 at the Vermilion Center. And then we'll be doing one in Nett Lake, one in Vermilion, one back in Nett Lake. That is, I did get the flyer and I also posted that in smoke signals for staff to be aware. Another thing that I'm working on is just investigating the regular privacy issues that have come in. So I have a couple that we're working on for the compliance committee meeting next week. Some of the risks that I'm working on addressing right now are addressing incidental privacy issues, things like discussing patient information in public areas, that type of thing. Billing and coding audits. We need to ensure compliance in our billing department. We need to ensure separation of duties. Amanda is going to be setting up a meeting with our new director to review the initial audit of the coding and billing done by Monslav. So that's exciting. And then the last risk I'm monitoring is really employees logging off their computers. It seems like it's getting a little bit laxed around here. So I'll be doing my walkthroughs to ensure people are logging off their computers. I do have the resources. I need to fulfill my responsibilities. I do have access to the people, and I feel like I have sufficient authority to do my job. I feel like people do listen to me, and take, compliance seriously. I feel like we got a lot of buy-in. And then I am included in any meetings to discuss any new projects, services that are upcoming, just to ensure they're pursued compliantly. Some of the things the OIG requests of the tribal council or the health board is to regularly meet with me, hence why we do this on a monthly meeting in public. Routinely ask other leaders about compliance, so other directors of health and human services, you can ask them about our compliance program. And then, of course, reviewing our risk data and the information that I have. And then I'll pull in Randy when that occurs. But we also have the ability to go into executive session. As you guys notice, I haven't been in executive session for a while, and that's a good thing, because I don't feel like I need to waste your time by just going to a session and saying nothing to report. So otherwise, that's the compliance world at Health and Human Services. So if you guys have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Yes, any concerns or issues regarding, compliance and HIPAA, any concerns?
Nope, I mean, we just need to keep it going. I think that we have, our employees have bought into the compliance program. They're making their reports, whether it has to be anonymously, that sometimes still happens, because people are afraid of retaliation. But no, I think that we've much improved since starting compliance in June of 2019. So I feel real confident in it, and, but it's really nice if you guys will talk to the other leaders just to find out. That would help me, because sometimes I don't hear the bad, I hear good. Do you know what I mean? So you guys can help me a little bit by evaluating on the outside what people think.
So any concerns from from a management standpoint, from the director to managers, employees, any concerns there?
No, Shane, I really try to stay out of that, because as a compliance official, I do not supervise any employees. So I kind of oversee the whole organization regarding compliance. So if somebody brings in a compliance issue to me that's dealing with privacy and security, then I deal with that and I investigate that. But when it's a manager and an employee, I try to direct that employee back to their manager, because otherwise I end up in the middle, and that's not a good place to be. You guys know that. So really try to direct everybody back to their manager, encourage that reporting. Do you know what I mean? So
Any questions or comments or concerns from council? Anything from Miranda?
Nothing.
Anything else, Pam?
nope, that's it, you guys.
Alrighty, thank you. Good job.
All right. Thanks, you guys. You guys are doing a great job as well.
Thank you.
Bye. Ikawabamin.
Up next, we got Lance Hill. Good morning, Lance.
Morning. I can introduce, or if you wish, you can read across the agenda, kind of spells out the items.
Sure.
All right, so the first item up is Realty seeking out council approval via resolution for the issuance of a new residential lease that has access to USDA lending opportunities. The prospective lessees are Kerie Porter and Mark Boshey, band members. The lease is similar to our HUD 184 loan, although it does have different provisions in the back spelled out, so. But all terms, this, let's see, some other notes. This particular lot is in the Cedar Grove area, so, bit by bit, we're filling the lots. Has been a goal for, I believe, 16 years or so.
Any concerns from Jeff on this one?
Nope, I think both these items are items that I've reviewed, so all good.
Thank you. Any questions or concerns from council?
I'm not able to find it in
No,
my
it looks good to
packet.
me.
So if people will bear with us, they're gonna resend it. Yes. Looking it over, I don't have no questions. Any questions or concerns from council? If no questions or concerns from council or additional discussions, I ask for a motion to approve resolution number 80-2026 residential lease for Kerie Porter and Mark Boshey. Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Up next, Lance.
Okay, next is seeking council approval, a resolution for a modification to a current recreational lease for, there's a list, we got 7 different lessees, but we're trimming that down to 2 to help, it just helps speed up any future modifications. So this particular property has been listed as well, but some of the hangups were the 7 lessees. You need all individuals to consent, so it helps speed up the process. The lease is going to be active for another 1.5 years, and yeah, so efficiencies to go on this one.
Any concerns from Jeff on this one?
No concerns.
Any questions, comments, or concerns from council? If no questions, concerns, or comments from council, I ask for a motion to approve resolution number 81-2026 modification of residential lease for Peter F. Boney, Benjamin Boney, Rachel Boney. I think it's Euneva, Beaver, Rollin Beaver, Paula Beaver, and Randall Beaver. Moved by Tara, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, Silent. Motion carried. Thank you, Lance.
Thank you.
Up next, we got Alyssa Christensen and Ashley Rainier.
Good morning.
Good morning. So you're here presenting the RTC automobile and property insurance renewal.
Correct. Least favorite topic, insurance. So our current insurance expires on the 15th of May. So we need to look at either renewing with Tribal First or going with Amarant. We've consulted with Tribal Attorney and we suggest moving forward with Amarant. One reason being is that Tribal First, the annual premium over last year's went up 11.1%, which is roughly about $18,000. And that's just auto, excuse me. We can assume, so the property coverage is not actually renewed until July. So we can only assume right now without getting an actual quote, that it'll likely go up a little bit just because the nature of insurance, everything's going up a little bit at this moment. Last year's annual for property was about $166,000. So if we can just assume that the quoted auto coverage, along with the annual premium from last year, Tribal First would be about $300,045. I'm sorry, $300,045.12. And then Amarant is looking at 300,000. I can't say that.
$310,048.
Beautiful. Too many numbers I'm looking at here. And one thing with Amarant, which is great too, is that we can have the policy set to expire on October 1st, which will follow our fiscal year. Another concern that was brought up, and Ashley has dealt with this more, is that their claim adjusters, we've had a really hard time getting claim adjusters to look at any issues you've had. They come from San Diego, California. Amarant has claim adjusters out of the Twin Cities, which would be a lot more proficient getting things done. We've had issues getting payouts from Tribal First, and there's also been some confusion with some of their adjusters rather with Federal Tort Claims Act, which they had questioned one of our employees if they had filed under that first, which they wouldn't have needed to do considering the coverage is under Tribal First already. So there's been a little confusion, and just in the idea of service, price, and it just would work out better, I believe, for the Tribal.
First question, when you talked about that adjuster coming from San Diego, did they come up here physically?
They do come physically, yes.
And was that at the tribe expense?
It's all covered under insurance. We don't pay for the adjusters to come.
We don't, okay,
No, that's all covered under the policy.
okay.
Yep.
And then you said the other one belongs is down there in the Twin Cities, correct? Okay, now with the switching of the insurance coverage, we're going from the, which one are we going from?
We have Tribal First come.
Tribal First over to Amarant? Amarant, and the cost is gonna drop. But is the coverage gonna be staying the same, if not more or better?
Yes, we are always airing to, we're gonna have the same, if not better. I do not want to ever underinsure anybody. That is, you want to have a little bit more to err on the side of something terrible happening. So yeah, it'll be the exact same or better. We're working through some modifications right now to make sure that and really diving through with the fine tooth comb. But yes, it'll be better or the same.
Any legal concerns from Jeff?
No, my biggest concern in reviewing the quotes was to make sure about the coverage point that we're not making a switch and reducing coverage limits per occurrence or in the aggregate. We were, when the band went with Tribal First, we were pretty careful to make sure that the policy limits were really broad, that they actually increased then, based on where we were before Tribal First, because you know, especially in areas where there's more potential for liability. And so I did some back and forth in looking at these quotes just to make sure that Ameren was covering in the same areas and at least at sort of the same or very similar limits. And that's the case. So that's my biggest concern. And the quote provided by Ameren now does cover all of those coverages that the band would need.
Thank you, Jeff. Any questions or comments or concerns from council?
I just want a clarification. The insurance is through Amerend, but the cover letter is from Range Reliable Agency. And so how can you explain why that is?
Thanks, Nikki. Range Reliable Insurance, they're a broker, so they work with a bunch of different large purveyors for insurance. So they essentially shop their own. Range Reliable shops their own insurance companies they work with and try to find the best fit. So we worked with Boyd Carlbloom from Range Reliable Insurance we've used for a while. So he was able to work with both Tribal First and Amerend. So it's presented under his company as a parent company, but it would be either with Tribal First or Amerend. Hope that helps a little bit.
Okay, do we have to pay that agency anything for being the broker then, or no?
There are brokerage fees, I'm sure, that are tied into the policy.
Okay,
That would be pretty standard across the board with any insurance company that's not just their own. It's not a brokerage insurance company.
okay. And the reason that I was asking that is because I know for the housing program, the housing units are insured through Amerend, but we deal directly with Amerend
Okay.
on that portion. And then the other comment that I have is when I was looking through your information here with the proposal, you may want to double check the buildings that are listed in there, because I believe that they have, I believe I seen the old housing building listed in there, and that's been gone for a while. So that needs to be gone.
Yeah.
Working on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah,
All right.
we have a large project on the side going through making sure that there are a few buildings that Ashley's caught that are in vehicles as well. So we're really trying to clean that all up. So,
All right, thank you.
thanks.
Any other questions from council? If no other questions, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara, is there a second?
A second.
Second by Janelle, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? Silent? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I think we're gonna take like a 5-minute recess.
Do we make that 10, Shane? Come back at 10:15?
Let's make it a 10-minute recess. Thank you.
Which? Bonjour, everyone. Next up on the agenda is donation committee recommendations. Both are approvals. Item A is for Ashley Goodsky. Be $500. If there's no questions or concerns, I'd ask for a motion to approve.
Move. Second.
Moved by Tara, second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next is an approved recommendation from the donation committee for a We Care conference, $150. Ask for a motion to approve if there's no questions or concerns. It looks like they requested 500, but the donation committee approved 150 for the We Care conference.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Next up on the agenda, we have Doris Isham and Carol Burr here to speak about resolution number 82-2026 SS 4A grant application approval and submission for the Y-Store intersection safety project. Miigwech for joining us today, Carol.
Good morning. Yeah. Good morning. I'm here to present the resolution to get approval to put in an application to the SS4A competitive grant program for the Y-Store roundabout. We did put in a application to build, but to be on the safe side, we want to apply with this one as well. If we get the build, we're going to take the build because it's a zero match. This one has a match, but St. Louis County and MnDOT are going to provide that match. So no money out of our pocket. I think the plan is if we get both, we want to ask SS4A if we can change the scope to the turn lanes on the Vermillion side.
I know that looking at the map that you provided us here, and knowing that there was some current projects that we have going on or gonna go on over there, is that gonna impact it in any way, shape, or form?
Well, I want, Paxton came to visit me. And so I'm gonna invite him to our Y-Store roundabout meeting so that we can coordinate. Is that what you're talking about?
That one, and then I think there's that solar farm, I think that we have going over there. Then we have that, there's I think like a ATV trail that's coming up.
So the farm, the solar farm, it won't affect because it's behind the Y-Store and that big field back there. And the trail, we're coordinating with the trail, Masabi, is it Masabi Trail that's doing that from Tower to the Y-Store? Yeah. Yeah, so the committee knows, MnDOT knows, St. Louis County knows that that trail is also in play. And again, this is going to be like 6 years from now, probably, because you have, if we get funded, you have to get the engineers to design the road. Then you gotta put it out for bid, then you gotta get the contractors in. So it's a long process. Hopefully they'll have a trail in and then we won't.
I remember some of the first meetings, they said that even if everything went perfectly smooth, it wouldn't start till 2028.
Yeah.
So Doris, hi, thank you for joining us online.
You're on mute.
Buju Doris, are you able to join us online? Did you have
Yes.
your, oh, there you
hear me
go.
now?
Now I can hear you now. Thank you.
Thank you. So I just wanted to fill in a little bit of background
We did apply for a build grant that was due in January for the same project. And that grant is highly competitive, and so is the Safe Streets for All grant. And so we're hoping that we get at one of them funded. The amount of money that we're requesting through Safe Streets for All is $6,914,336. And if that is funded, we'd be scheduled to start in 2029 for the actual construction. Now, we won't hear on the build grant until 6 months from January. And like I said, that's a very highly competitive grant. We do have a resolution before you for your consideration. And I shared that with Jamie Warwick, who did have an additional sentence that he wanted to add into that resolution. And I think Jeff has a copy of that change. So Jeff, if you're there, maybe you can fill the council in on the change.
Doris, we already have it. They
Okay.
printed it, sent it to us with the addition.
Okay, that's good.
Jeff did. For Jeff?
Yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure you had it. I can read it off, but if council's got that, it was just, I think, a reference to the project being a priority in the safety action plan and that reference in there. So, which is a good add. So, yep, I'm good.
So if we apply for this grant and get it, how long before it actually, from start to finish, it gets done?
The grant application or the project?
Oh, I'm talking to Carol.
Yeah, the grant application, the start to finish would be 2029 or 2030, we're thinking, for the finished product. Yeah.
So that's going to take that long for us to get it done with everything with this roundabout in place, correct?
Correct.
So how are we gonna, I brought it up before, is just putting up them stoplights there at the intersection now until the time being, until we get the roundabout in place to try and mitigate or stop the
accident.
accidents from happening again.
We can bring that up again with MnDOT and St. Louis County and see what they can provide.
Mhm.
Yeah, we can do that.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
I just wanted to add too that we did have community meetings both at Nett Lake and in Vermilion. And we had a good turnout of community members and a lot of positive feedback on the project. It just so happened like a week before the community meeting, there was another accident at that corner. And so it is a serious intersection that has caused a lot of problems for everybody on the road system. Thank you.
And I do always reiterate to the committee that, and MnDOT and St. Louis County, that it can't affect the Y store or Fortune Bay. We need to have traffic, have access to those like they do now. And the state MnDOT says that because you're already slowing down, right, for the roundabout, a lot of people will think, oh, well, I'm already slowed down. I'm going to go just stop at the Y store. I'm going to fill up, get some snacks, get some booze, get some bait, that's the idea behind that. And it makes sense to me because you're already, I mean, if I'm traveling and I don't know where I'm at and I have to slow down for something and I don't know where to stop, I would stop there. That makes sense to you guys? Okay. But I don't want it to affect it in any way negatively.
I didn't know if you saw the comments. First one is, will the roundabout impact our business at the Y store? What did management say about the project at the Y store? Y store management and CEO. I'm sorry I was unable to attend community meetings, but stoplights would be good.
So did I already answer that? Yeah.
Carol, excuse me, maybe a little explanation of why a roundabout versus stoplights?
Okay, so MnDOT and St. Louis County have already identified that intersection as like #1 safety issue because of the accidents that have been happening there, that have been going on there. There, when we first brought it up and met with the tribal council to get approval, there was a major accident there that night. And there's been like, I want to say almost 6 or 7 since then.
Listen, no, this weather would just stay nice would be all right.
Doris, can you mute?
And so we wanted to implement this project and see what we could do and work with MnDOT and St. Louis County for the safety of not only the tourists and the community, but our band members, because a lot of our band members use that intersection. So far, we've lucked out. I don't think any of them have been involved, but I don't want something to happen like what just happened at Fortune Bay, in front of Fortune Bay where the accident happened. I want to be more proactive and get something done before something like that happens. If we had the turn lanes and whatnot for Fortune Bay, I think some of that could be avoided because people are always speeding. Like I said earlier, they're speeding to get to the bay to either win or lose, and then they're speeding to get out of there. And it's crazy how fast they drive in that area. Did that explain it? Everyone? It's a safety issue. And like I said, it's #1 with the state of Minnesota, MnDOT's safety action plan and this county's.
Sounds good. And to summarize that question, I'm not sure, all the choices that we're making, we want to make sure that they benefit the band and our businesses. So any of the choices and that are made, you know, are in the long run just benefits to our community. Make which. All right, thank you for coming into the Carol, and thank you for answering the questions. Doris, is there any more comments or concerns or questions from council? If not, I ask for a motion to approve resolution number 82-2026.
Move.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second? Second by Shane. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Which,
Thank you.
Just for the minutes,
thank you, Doris.
this is for something else. For the minutes and record, what time did the chairman get here, just so the minutes flow? And that our votes are, you know, when he's taking over. Did anybody note that?
Recess was until 10:15, but I didn't resume the meeting till approximately 10:19.
Okay,
I didn't announce it, but it was approximately 10:19. I returned
thank you.
as chair. McWitch. All right, next up on the agenda, we have Jessie Lambert. I believe she's going to be joining us online, and it's regarding a raffle for the Boys and Girls Club.
Yes, so I also have Wendy Deathridge here with me also. We did this last year and we plan on doing it again this year as a combined fundraiser for both locations. Wendy's just gonna kind of run over the flyer quick with you guys and give you guys a rundown of everything.
Hi, Wendy. Thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thank you for having us. I would like to request permission on behalf of the Boys and Girls Club of Boys Fort to hold a raffle fundraiser for the Vermilion and Nett Lake sites. I believe you all have a copy of our flyer, which states that we would like to sell tickets for the fundraiser. We would be selling the tickets from May 26th to June 27th. The ticket cost would be $5 for one ticket or $20 for 5 tickets. The prizes are listed on the flyer, and the proceeds would go to fund field trips and program activities for the Boys and Girls Club at both sites. We will be selling the tickets prior to the Vermilion Powwow, and the drawing would be held at 4 p.m. on the day of the powwow, but you do not need to be present to win. Do you have any other questions that I can answer? You have run this raffle before, prior?
Yep, we did it last year, same time frame. We held the drawing at the Vermilion Powwow last year. We had the MC announce it and draw tickets for the winners right at the powwow there, which worked out pretty well. And we plan on doing the same this year.
Do you remember the amount that you were able to raise last year with the raffle?
We raised, I believe it was approximately 1,200.
Nice. Is there anything that you can recommend or anything that you would think council could do to help get this word out more, to help raise more money for the raffle? I think we would plan to post our flyer in the smoke signals, post our flyer around in different locations, and just we'll be having employees selling tickets at various locations around town in both communities.
And to answer your question, Carlos, I think for us, it's just the support for us. And then, you know, seeing people like, hey, did you buy a ticket from the Boys and Girls Club staff? They have a pretty good raffle going on, you know, just something like that to just kind of help boost our ticket selling. Our goal is to have each staff member sell 30 tickets each, which would, there's 9 of us total. And we also, our goal is to raise at least 2,500 this year, minimum, with both sites doing it.
Sounds good. That's a good goal to strive for, and I hope we hit it. For those joining us online and don't have access to the flyer yet, first prize is going to be a Fortune Bay Wilderness package, and second prize is a quilt made by the Boys and Girls Club Youth. Third prize is a Magic Seal vacuum sealer and a Super One gift card. Painted canvas and beaded necklace made by the Boys and Girls Club is the fourth prize. And fifth is a painted sculpture set made by the youth from the Boys and Girls Club. Is there any other questions or concerns or questions by council?
No, but I do have a comment. I know you two ladies. I see you at your fundraising events all the time, and it's really good. You guys do a good job. Wow. I mean, you guys are fundraising almost every month. So good job. And keep having those bake sales because I like those. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Move to approve.
Motion to approve the raffle for the Boys and Girls Club by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you for joining us today, Jesse and
Thank
Wendy.
you. Thank you.
You have a good day. Next up on the agenda, we have Kim Greiner. We have 3 points of order. First is the authorization of continuing purchase of CDs. Hi, Kim. How you doing today?
Okay, thank you. The first item I have is asking for basically authority to have accounting staff purchase CDs when needed. A certificate of deposit is a CD for those. So like we got our 2024 BIA 105L money in. And in our policy, we set 10% aside for emergency repairs and 10% for replacement reserve for buildings. And so we're still working through, you know, like this money we had signed the leases and sent it back to the BIA in January of 2025. And we just got the money last week. And so they owe us for 25 and 26 yet. And so we're trying to work through it. And then IHS owes us for 26. And so in our 105L policy, we have these there. And so instead of every time coming to the tribal council, when we get the money in, we would just have the authority to request for the bank to put that 10% in each one of those CDs. And then they would notify Carlos and Tara to sign off on that. At the bank, that's considered opening a new account. And so I have to have meeting minutes. And so if we had a blanket to do that every time it comes in, it would be like more efficient and get it invested faster. I would notify the council as a whole when we got the money in so that you know what's going on. And then if we need to liquidate the CD at some time, that would have to come back to the council for approval. It just kind of kind of making things just a little bit more efficient.
Do you have an end date that you're thinking, or is this until council revokes
Until the council
The-
revokes.
okay.
Because the way the 105L is, it's supposed to be every year, so it'd be going on from there. And then when we, like right now, we've been investing in 90-day CDs because those ones are making the highest interest rate versus the long-term ones. So when it comes up, I look at the rates and then we just tell them if, we just say roll it over to which one from there. So we have quite a few CDs now and earning interest. So we're making our money work for us.
Pam, how much was the FY 2024 BIA 105L funds? How much was it?
2,354,924.12.
And then you said the set aside, I think you said 10%.
10% would be set aside in a specific CD for emergencies.
So how much is the 10%?
It'd be $235,492. Just
So
to round up.
basically, you got like 1.7 left over. What happened with that?
That will be budgeted out for 105, the actual operating cost of buildings and capital improvements, which I have the capital improvement policy
Okay.
after this. We're working through it and getting it all set up and work and in that, but we're also like with the 105L money, we're moving from more of a reactive organization to more planning and preventative
So basically then,
on maintenance.
because some of that money that we get from Fortune Bay, that free up that money from the 105L money that's used for.
The program that had used it for so like, let's use courts.
Mhm.
They get money from the Fortune Bay distribution and they would have to pay their building costs out of there. Insurance, utilities, custodial repairs and stuff. And as we get the 105L money in, that will be paid out of the 105L money. So then either, the courts would need less money from distributions.
Thank you.
A comment online there. Is there another way to make money off our money other than CDs investments?
One of the things about the 105L is it's not 100% clear. And you talk to several people if it's federal funds or not federal funds. Federal funds have investment restrictions on them. You can't go higher than a T-bill or a AAA rated bond, but CDs are much more, they're almost paying the same, maybe 1/10 of an interest difference, there's a lot of stuff to work into it, but having it in a CD at our bank, it's much more flexible. And if we have an emergency, we can access it immediately versus having it invested in like the T-bills and stuff.
And then the risk of stock,
Yeah, well, because it's
because it's federal.
we're
we can't-
treating it
we
as
can't
federal
go that way
funds. Yeah, we can't even invest in that.
For the risk of
Mhm.
audits.
Yep.
Make a motion to approve.
Second, I'd like to have that language in there, though. You know, how council is going to revoke or stop or whatever, especially if there's a better investment that comes along.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Is
Mhm.
there's a better investment comes along, then we need to stop that and put it into a better investment, a
Yeah.
higher yield.
And this is just for CD, you know, because if we came across that, that would have to be brought back because we'd have to open an account and do that. It would be a different type of account.
And then the reporting requirements need to be immediate,
Yeah,
meaning when that happens, like,
Yeah.
let's say it's September 1st, 2026, then immediately that needs to be sent to the council. How much, where it is, even though Carlos and I would sign,
Mhm.
you know how much we, how much of those signatures every single time.
Yeah.
That needs to be reported out. So please send that along with pending that notification.
I just want a clarification, on this. I don't have a problem with it, but the question that I have is, you just say you're requesting authorization for accounting.
Yeah.
Okay, is there specific, positions in accounting that are gonna be able to do this, or is it anybody that works in accounting?
No, there's a different policy, a bank authorization policy that probably was passed before you were here. So it's basically the CFO, the comptroller, and the accounting manager that, have access to the bank stuff.
Okay,
There was specific in it, it was probably a year and a half ago.
okay, all right, thank you.
And it's not official until the chair and the secretary treasurer sign.
There's a motion and a second on the floor, and I just wanted it reflected in the minutes that I do not agree with creating an avenue for money to be moved without council's approval. I'd also want more discussion on this before signing my name to it. There's just the wording. I wouldn't approve this. Which,
Do we want to discuss this here? Because it was put on the agenda by Miranda and yourself. I understand it.
So what's your concern? And maybe, alls we're asking for is instead of, so like when we got the contract support cost money, you remember? And I had to do a poll to have the council authorize investing that in a CD. So instead of doing that every single time we get a pot of money to do that, we just do it and then it's council.
But this is
we-
105 only, not
Yeah.
every time.
No,
You're
uh-uh.
talking about 105L.
Yeah. And then we can't liquidate it, we can't take it or do anything. That has to come back to the vote for a council for sure. It was just one less thing on agendas every time. Or, when needed, is what I was trying to make it more efficient.
Would you like us to rescind that? Do we just have to keep doing this every few months? These are what is it, the 4-month CDs? Is that what it is?
3 months.
3-month CDs.
And this is just the motion. It's not a resolution either.
Sounds good. You answered my questions. Which is a motion on the floor to approve and seconded. I have no concerns. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. All right, Kim, that was the first point. Next up is authorization for the IRS PIN for selected accountants, accounting staff.
We've been having some issues with the IRS and receiving what are called their 941 quarterly employment tax returns. We mail them in due to numerous reasons, like staffing at the IRS, mail problems, stuff like that. When we get a notice to correct something, we're not, for a long time, we weren't getting any notices. And then all of a sudden we got this flood of notices and then we don't get notices. There's just a lot of stuff. And in working with Susan, because we found out that we had some errors, and Susan Allen with Jeff's firm was helping us get through those notices and clear up some penalties and interest. Like one, we had a typo error on it. We had an extra digit in it. So they were saying we owed 4 million in employment taxes and we didn't. They were trying to assess this penalty on it. So we worked through that. We didn't, it's just we had like the decimal, one extra number in there. And so if we had access to, and this is Susan's recommendation, we have access to filing online with the IRS. It would flag, it wouldn't even let us file the return that way. So it would clear up all that and then we would get electronic notices of issues there would be. But according to the IRS website, you have to be, you know, like a principal of the entity or we need authorization. So I'm just requesting that we get authorization from the tribal council for the following positions to be able to, and if I didn't finish typing out secretary treasurer on the bottom, they already have authority to set up a PIN, but then, you know, I just didn't finish typing the sentence there. But so it would be for the positions of chief financial officer, accounting manager, payroll specialist, and comptroller. So primarily it would be Mary using it to file the quarterly returns because that's part of her regular job duties as the payroll specialist. But if she's out, someone else has to go in and file it if it's due. So that's why it'd be, those four would have a PIN. And so then you have to get an ID me account with the federal government, which is just, if any of you've had them for filing for reports and drawdowns, you have to like establish your identity with the federal government. You scan your driver's license in and then you scan your picture in and then you get a password and a code to get in to set up your ID me and then you can access that. So then we get a 10-digit PIN that we could go in and file our returns on. And that's all we're asking.
Sounds good. Any questions from council?
You know how thorough I have to be here, and I don't like that my name is not on there
Yeah.
and my title isn't on there. And is this adding 3 people to this, to the signature, to the PIN?
I don't believe it's adding, it's, you have to have the PIN to even log in to file it. And you, as up here on the top part, because this is a printout from the IRS, the top half of the second sheet, it says other authorized principal, or, you know, of the entity that's not a sole proprietor or corporate, you know, authorized to act legal on and legal and tax matters. So we're already signing the returns and submitting them. So it's not changing anything else. And what I meant to put there was to say Secretary Treasurer is already authorized to do it. Tara could go on to the IRS and obtain a PIN without having to get it. Approval from the tribal council because she's an authorized authority. And I did ask Jeff about this, about if I had to get authority from the tribal council, and he said, yeah, I have to present it at a meeting.
But as it reads, I'm not
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah. I can make that change and resubmit it if, you know, you can maybe approve it with pending a correction.
Tara, are you referring to the part where it says the positions that should have access to this
Yeah.
are current employees in that list?
Yeah.
And then it says Secret.
Yeah, I was in a hurry trying to get everything done and I had a lot of interruptions.
You know how I am,
I
Kim.
know, but that's why I'm saying that you know, it wouldn't be approved till I went back and corrected it.
Sorry, I am this
Yeah.
way, but it
No.
needs to be thorough and it
Yeah.
needs to be correct.
To ask for a motion to approve with the correction of correctly inserting Secretary Treasurer Tara Gizek under positions that should have access to this. Current employees.
I move with that, that addition. Thank you.
Moved by Shane. Do I have a second? And Shane asked for the addition on the motion.
I'll second then.
Moved by Shane, second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. All right, Kim, next we're going to talk about the policy and it looks like for the facility capital improvement policy.
Yep, and I had some more feedback from senior management yesterday. So I have I did make some printed out ones, but I believe you guys did it too. Okay. So I've highlighted a few changes I made. So with the onset of the 105L and other, you know, funding and stuff and needs for capital improvements, you know, building repairs, replacements, and stuff like that. We've been working on a policy to do this, to prioritize. So the first 2 pages is the policy, and then the second 2 pages is a form that auto-populates as you pick a building. So it looks like this. And so like they would pick a building and it would auto-populate a lot of stuff like the physical address, the code in the new counting system, age of the building, and just every stuff. And then the person who's requesting the physical or the facilities improvement would put a description of the need in, estimated cost, and then we would put this and it ranks by risk, risk and likelihood on 3 categories of health, safety, and operational risks, and gives an overall score. So we can prioritize the most urgent need first to get repaired with our funding we have. And this is for non-emergency stuff. So this would be for an annual budgeting purpose to come up so you have plan. And so the policy is to start planning proactively for fixing stuff. What it defines the scope, and then the definition. A capital improvement is a project or expenditure that results in the acquisition, construction, or substantial enhancement of a long-lived asset with a useful life of more than 1 year and a minimum threshold value of $5,000. So those are what our capitalization policy is. That's when we start depreciating and capitalizing. So that's laid out, and then it lays out the procedures. So it identifies the need. It gets reviewed by a committee, and, and it's evaluated. It gets inspected. So they're even on the form, even though that someone, like a building manager, someone who's in charge of a building writes it up. There's a section in here where our project management staff goes out and reviews to verify the need and to see, kind of maybe there's more that needs to be done or less, kind of stuff. Look at it. And then it goes to a committee made up of the maintenance director and then one project manager or planning director, the CFO, the HHS director, if it's an HHS project, the according program accountant to which fund it would be coming out of. Because not everything is funded by 105L and they might have other money. And then HHS management staff manager when it's an IHS project considered. It would go to the committee would take them all because there'll be a timeline that a due date that they would apply for it. And then we consider it in the budget process, and then we would recommend the approved projects, which then it would go to the executive director for authorization to be budgeted for that year. So we're also ensuring that the funds are already there before we move on projects. And then as the project moves forth, the project manager department has to use the approval process for the appropriate delegation of authority. So if it's a small thing like a $10,000 repair, doesn't need to come to the council, and if it's a major project, with contracts, it's got to come to the council. The emergency part, we're going to incorporate at a later date. This is so that we can, because some of the money we have in now, we can start working on some of our most urgent needs so we can get going. And then the form will be finalized. I just ran out of time to get it to finish auto-populating. And then this policy was going to be evolving and improving over time. We got to try it out and go from there, but that's how we want to kick it off and get it going. And this plays back kind of to Janelle's question about the insurance, because we were double checking as we were building this form in the database for it of what's on the insurance, and if there was a building missed and one that needs to be taken off. So kind of played into all of it.
Rich, Kim, I appreciate how all the forethought was put into making sure we have a plan before we just had this money burning a hole in our pocket.
Mm-hmm.
And the process for keeping track of which project should be used or addressed first. So.
And then also it's a data collection too for the planning department. So like if there's stuff that isn't eligible for 105L and we start identifying it, they have information and start creating data for pursuing grants. And also in the policy, it does say, is this, like it asks, is it's, there's a lot of other stuff that I didn't read in there on the forms, like, is it in the strategic plan? Is it, is the building going to be replaced soon or,
Perfect. Is there any questions from council?
Just a thought, regarding on what you just said there, and with the 105L money coming in for, let's say, this building here, and we've been using Fortune Bay monies to cover whatever expenditures here. Now the 105L is coming in and it frees up the Fortune Bay money. Now we have other buildings here that are not covered by 105L. And then say we want to buy a CD for that one as an example. use this money here that's freed up instead of putting money into that for a CD. You know, just put that out there as a thought, you know,
Yeah.
on the back burner, if you will. So that way all of our buildings are covered.
Yeah. There's a lot of work yet to be done on all this stuff and planning, but I appreciate all the input and ideas. You know, it's good suggestions from everyone.
Thank you.
I just have for clarification for my own purposes, the sheet that was handed out has some yellow bolding on it.
That's what I changed from what's in the packet that I submitted for the agenda. Because I had got input again from senior management yesterday.
Okay,
Yeah, because I had, you know, it's been a very big team process trying to get input on this.
I have just one comment, Kim. I do see one typo on here,
Okay.
so let's make sure if this is approved,
Uh-huh.
you know, that those get corrected.
Which,
Manager.
oh, okay.
The question I
I see
have
it now.
is, okay, this is approved by senior management.
Uh-huh.
And would any health related capital improvements be under emergencies?
So some of it would be, you know, it depends on, you know, an emergency, an immediate threat type stuff that has to be done. And so that's a different, you know, like we just haven't gotten that far in doing that. And so we're setting money aside for emergency stuff, you know.
I'm thinking about like indoor air quality problems, mold, um, you know, water intrusion, that kind of stuff. Would
Yeah.
that be?
That's a very good question because we've had lengthy discussions about it. So like we have water intrusions in this building, but we've had water intrusions since day one when we moved in this building. But we're also, you know, so part of this, if you look at the form, it kind of ranks stuff on health, safety and that. So if it was a significant risk, you know, and things, it would bubble up higher to get taken care of first. But there's also, and then because right now we don't have all our funds, it's kind of a limited pot. Are we addressing, you know, stuff like the safety stuff first? You know, that's what we're hoping this accomplishes.
Okay. And then I would suggest at the bottom, you know, approved on or
Yeah,
revised on whatever date, so you know which one is the most,
yep,
which one you're going off of.
yep. And I just left it open till it was approved for now. I mean, like we could put in for today, you know, as of today with the correction of my typo in there. And then,
I just have another question, I guess. Is this committee going to meet like on a regular basis then to look at these things and make a recommendation to the executive director? The other question that I have is, will this information that these projects that are going to be rated and worked on, will they be in somebody's monthly report so that we can see what's been done, what, you know, what am-
I would think you know, like the department director would include it in their monthly report if they were approved. But this is you know, this is data collection right now, you know, and to get rated. It's an annual budget. So this, you have to think of like, we would be doing this annually, you know, so we do that. So we're pre-planning, that's, you know, type stuff and getting ready to go. Emergencies is a different, you know, like different thing. That's why we have to do that. And I just plain ran out of time.
If there's no further conversation. Ask for a motion to approve. Our policy, the facility capital improvement policy.
Move to approve.
Moved by Tara. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any silent? Motion carried. Thank you, Kim, for joining us today.
I recall that I asked about this because Fortune Bay has their capital improvement plan and we should have one for here. So, thank you for getting this draft, or I shouldn't say draft because it's official now. But please, even though it has gone through senior management, get a second set of eyes on these. I know you said you were in a rush,
Yep.
but I'm very, like,
Yeah.
it's gotta be correct and it's,
Yep.
I don't want to pass things with revision, with correction,
Yeah.
with, that,
Yeah.
that just doesn't feel good to me. So
I know.
please have it correct.
Yep.
All right. Did we have some items under Miranda? So, with nothing else on the agenda, I ask for a motion to adjourn.
Move.
Moved by Shane. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second by Janelle. All in favor, say aye. Meeting adjourned at 11:10 a.m. Which we'll reconvene executive session